Hi, I'm Brian O'Neill from Mayo Clinic Cancer Center. I'm the director of the Translational Research Program in neurooncology at the Mayo Clinic Cancer Center, and I direct the Mayo Specialized Program of Research Excellence in Brain Cancer. I'm also a member of the Scientific Advisory Committee of the V Foundation, and I, like several of the others, want to make the point that this is an exciting time in brain research, and in particularly an exciting time in brain cancer research. But like most progress in cancers, the advances have been incremental. And because it's incremental, it makes a couple of points that I want to emphasize. The first is that these are multi-step processes that sometimes take an enormous length of time. Some discoveries just happen and are quickly actionable. Others take long time of development and modification, and sometimes only occurs when there are dramatic advances in the field or technologies or capabilities to facilitate the interpretation of the results and the translation. So it also makes the point that none of the research, including brain cancer research, happens without sustained and robust funding. And that's really where the V Foundation comes in, because the V Foundation has had a tremendous track record of supporting research, and research that's made a difference, some of it being highly innovative and influential. And one of the things the V Foundation has done that sets it apart has been to identify a way to fund the best and the brightest of the young investigators, the people who are, I sometimes say, an endangered species, the people who find it more difficult to compete for federal funding and are getting that funding when they are successful at a much later stage in their careers than even 10 years ago. And so foundations such as the V Foundation are critical to provide that kind of sustaining support for the young investigators. And to just give an example of how this has worked, I'll mention the research of Bob Jenkins within our program here at Mayo. In the 90s, he made the first observation that there may be a gene that correlates with a particular type of brain tumor called an oligodendroglioma. He was then able to find, by careful testing, to determine that there is a genetic signature called 1p19q. That genetic signature then became the foundation for a diagnostic test that allowed pathologists to say that's what this is, because sometimes things can look confusing under the microscope. Then that led to correlative studies with clinical trials for this tumor, and being able to look at what that signature means in terms of response to treatment and survival. And it becomes not only a prognostic test, showing how somebody will do compared to somebody who doesn't have that, but it also can be predictive that the person may respond to X treatment versus Y treatment. And this was one of the first examples of what's now called individualized treatment in brain cancer. This then led to studies of the gene, and others have talked about how we're at the point of exciting molecular analysis that allows you to interrogate the genetic infrastructure of tumors. But it now leads to an understanding of what the specific gene site might be for this tumor. And last, a really unique discovery that has changed much of the field, and that is that patients who get this tumor may be genetically predisposed to getting it. And when they have this one particular snippet of genetic information that Dr. Jenkins has found, their risk of getting this type of tumor is elevated 6 times. Very similar to like the BRCA genes that most people are familiar with in breast cancer. But none of this would have happened without a sustained effort, multiple collaborations, and robust funding through foundations such as the V Foundation. Thanks very much.